Hi everyone, let me tell you a little bit about our new game called Skyline Express, a family-friendly game with a lot of brain-burning decisions for more advanced players. Let's see how it plays. So what is Skyline Express about? Players try to place passengers in their carriages and score points in 3 different ways at the end of each round. Players score points for goals, services, and personas. The player with the most points at the end of round 3 is the winner and becomes the manager of the Skyline Express. For the purpose of this video, I'll show you what the game and setup looks like for 2 players. Each player receives a player board, 2 action tokens of their color, and 1 scoring token which they place on spot number 0. Pick 6 goal tiles and place them on top of the main board. Randomly pick 3 service tiles and place them on the board. Place as many passengers in the main hall as indicated on the board. In the case of a 2-player game, place 2 rows of 10 passengers. Place 6 passengers in the waiting room and place as many preference tiles as there are personas, gray tiles, in the first row and waiting room. And now you're ready to play the game. A player's turn is super easy. You must take 1 passenger from the top row, and you may also use up to 2 actions per turn and acquire service tiles, but more on that later. When you take a passenger, you may place it anywhere in your carriage. Whenever you take a persona tile, you need to take 1 preference tile from the ones in the lounge and place it beside the persona's compartment. Whenever a player fills the last place in a compartment, he receives a ticket token and places it beside that compartment. When there are no more passengers in the current row, pass the first player marker to the person to your left and add as many preference tiles as there are personas in the new row, in this case, only 1. When all passengers are removed from the main hall, the scoring phase begins. As an example, let's take a look at scoring after round 2. Players score points in 3 different ways. The first way to score points is to fulfill goals. Goals are certain patterns in which certain passengers need to be seated in your carriage. Let's take a look at these 2 goals as an example. The first tile gives players 6 points for each compartment where there is a blue passenger surrounded by 3 passengers of the same type. This goal tile gives the player 2 points for each pair of passengers of the same type seated by the aisle. In the case of this player, he would score 6 points for the first goal, as he has a blue passenger surrounded by 3 yellow passengers. He would also get 2 points for each pair of the same color seated by the aisle, and he has 1, 2, 3 pairs seated by the aisle. So altogether 6 points. The other way to gain points is to get services. At any point of their turn, a player can use, which means flip, 2 ticket tiles in order to gain a service tile. In this case, the player already has 2 service tiles because he flipped 4 ticket tiles. Service tiles give the player 2 points for every pair of passengers of the given types in their carriage. These passengers do not need to be seated beside each other. Simply sum up all the pairs in your carriage and multiply by 2. In this case, the player gains 2 points as he has 1 pair of green and yellow passengers, and 4 points for this service tile as he has 2 pairs of red and blue passengers. 1 is here and 1 is here. The third way to gain points is meeting the persona's preferences. Each persona has a corresponding preference tile. The preference tile indicates where the person would like to sit, which is indicated in the middle, and what types of passengers he'd like to sit with. Placing the persona in the correct seat gives 1 point. Each passenger of the preferred type in the compartment gives 1 point. In this case, the persona scores 4 points, 1 for the seat he is in, and 3 points as there are 3 passengers of the preferred type in the same compartment. After the scoring phase, players prepare for the next round by flipping gold tiles from the previous round, exchanging passengers from the waiting room with new ones from the bag, and putting new passengers in the main hall. Each player also receives 2 extra action tokens. At any point of their turn, players can use one of the available actions by spending 1 action token per action. The first action allows players to exchange 1 passenger with 1 from the waiting room. Action number 2 allows for switching passengers' seats. Action number 3 allows players to move a passenger to an empty spot in their carriage. Action number 4 allows players to look at 2 extra service tiles when they want to acquire 1 by spending 2 ticket tokens. When round number 3 is over, 1 final scoring takes place. Each unused ticket token is worth 2 victory points, and each unused action token is worth 1 victory point. The player with the most points at the end of the game becomes the manager of the Skyline Express.